Men and women of God worldwide, I have a big announcement to make. God's revival has come upon planet Earth. It's here right now. And just before I give you a quick synopsis of God's revival world tour recently went to the Caribbean in Jamaica and to Guyana, Caribbean / South America. The mighty servants of God in Guyana from over 60 different churches, after receiving God's revival, presented a key symbolically to this ministry, to this move of God, for the nation and the Caribbean / South America. The key for God's revival to take over that region. And why did these men of God presented the key? Because God's revival is the key to fill that gap that no government, politicians, educators, scientists, geologists, seismologists, meteorologists, media, false religion, the best of human wisdom and intellect can fill. Only God's revival. A quick synopsis: Isaiah 59 verse 10 and 16. He said that we grope for the wall like the blind. We grope as if we had no eyes. We stumble at noonday as in the night, and we are in desolate places as dead men. The world condition without God's revival, he said, we grope. We are like the blind. We are grope without eyes, as if we have no eyes. We stumble without God's revival. We are in desolate places as dead men without God's revival. That's the condition of the world worldwide. Like the blind, no eyes, stumble in desolate places. That's the condition of mankind right now. But Isaiah 59 verse 6, here comes the key. God's revival key. Verse 16 said, and he saw that there was no man, and wondered that there was no intercessor. Therefore his harm, God's own harm, brought salvation unto him. God's revival is God's own harm bringing salvation, causing world revival. God is no longer depending on one great man. God is no longer depending on one great church, one great ministry to fulfill his plan for world revival. God's revival culminates the all flesh effect. In Joel 2 verse 28, God said in the last days he's gonna pour out his spirit upon all flesh. And he said his sons and his daughters shall prophesy. God's revival is the manifestation of the gift of prophecy upon all flesh, upon all born again believers, upon all born again Christians. God's revival, glory to God, is going to be manifested upon all believers. It will not be left to just one great man. Every believer will rise and become a preacher, will become a visionary, will become a prophet. Moses said, I would to God that all God's people were prophets. In Proverbs 29, why God's revival? Proverbs 29 verse 18, he said, where there is no vision, the people perish without God's revival, without every believer arising and prophesying. The people, the world will perish. Ezekiel 7 verse 26, he said, mischief shall come upon mischief, rumor shall be upon rumor. He said, then shall they seek a vision of the prophet. It's time for God's revival. Just like Guyana received it by presenting this key. When hands were laid on them, they not only spoke in tongues, but they prophesied of the things to come. Through God's revival, this ministry right here on the mountaintop in New York, I've prophesied, even though we are nobodies, I've prophesied the things that have happened on the earth. From Haiti earthquake to Japan earthquake to New Zealand to China to the floods and the tornadoes and the economic crash and there's so many things that God has spoken through this ministry. God has revealed and released God's revival. And we just want to let you know that we are available to come to your country. We are available to come to your region. Feel free to contact us at info@harvestarmy.org. You can send your requests for God's revival. A country, a nation, a region, this world will not survive without receiving God's revival. Someone need to arise. So the people of God in these countries across the world need to arise and receive God's revival to warn mankind of the things to come on the earth. I'm here to tell you, God's revival is here. The all flesh effect is here. The all flesh prophesying is here. God want to speak to you. God have a word for you to give to your country, to your nation, to the world. God want to reveal something true to you, and God's revival is here. Don't depend on the great men. They are failed miserably. Don't depend on just one great woman and one great man. They are failing miserably. It's time for the all flesh effect. It's time for God's revival. It's the key for world revival. It's the key for mankind. Is the key, that glory to God, to fill that gap in the world right now. God gave a revelation of 1.5 million visionaries, and it's here. It's God's revival ready to be released in your nation, upon your country. It's here. I want to encourage you, receive it now before it's too late. Receive it. God's revival. God bless.